Welcome to Microscope. I'm your host, Scope News Kernersville Editor-in-Chief, Chris Agee. Well, we've got a great show today, but first, this episode is brought to you by Scope News Kernersville. Stay up to date on the news and events that matter with a fresh, independent look at your hometown. Scope News Kernersville provides locally owned, award-winning news coverage you can trust. Check it out today at scopenewsonline.com and follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, or YouTube. I'm excited to have Bruce Frankel on the podcast. I'm sure a lot of you know Bruce either from his travel agency, The Mindful Traveler, his work with the Kernersville Historic Preservation Society, or the many other ways he's active in our community. Today we're going to be talking about his advocacy for public art in downtown Kernersville. All right, Bruce, thank you so much for coming on today.
It's good to be here, Chris, and I really appreciate you taking time to talk about public art and murals in Kernersville.
Yeah, we've covered this a couple of times in the past, and I'll certainly link to all those articles, and we'll have plenty more coming on as this the public conversation continues. But before we get into really the heart of the matter, can you just tell me briefly how you got involved in the push for more public art downtown?
How I personally got involved, that's pretty easy. I met Christina Parrish, who is leading this project, and she is actually a former high school educator in the county and art teacher, and she started her own art mural business, and she came up with this incredible project. And from my perspective, I heard a presentation at the Chamber of Commerce, and I said I support this effort. I can't believe that there would be any opposition to it. And she ran to a significant roadblock that's preventing her from going forward with it. And I just don't see the logic behind it. And when I see something like that, I really feel it's important to the town. I've been involved a long time in the downtown efforts and keeping pedestrian, traffic here in town, getting people excited about Kernersville. And, public art is one of the best ways to do it. I mean, people appreciate, the historic preservation aspects that I'm involved with, and people come see that, and people come for the shopping and the entertainment. But arts and culture are an important feature, that really draws people. I mean, so it's like, it creates. The public art. You read the reasons why people like murals, art murals especially. In today's world, it's like a cultural landmark, and it helps the town being seen as a more vibrant destination, for art lovers and for visitors. Think about all the people that you see that go by murals and take pictures and do selfies and put them on Facebook. You want to promote a destination. Murals are awesome. And I just think from an educational perspective, a lot of educators have really talked about the significance of, child development and having the opportunity to see these things, to make the town, more relatable and have storytelling and just to have, really develop critical thinking. So, it's people love art. I don't think there's an issue, and I think that's why, originally the town told her to go ahead and with the project, and then unfortunately, they put a restriction on it that didn't make any sense. Yeah. So that's when I felt, I had to speak up and say, hey, let's use a little common sense here. Let's do the right thing. And so that's how I got involved.
Yeah, and like you said, we for a town this size, we do have a very active downtown, I would say. And I can't tell you how many times on social media I've seen a picture of Christina's mural on Cake and All Things Yummy. That's one piece. If we had more pieces like that, I can only imagine that we'd see, like you said, people taking selfies and sharing that stuff and getting Kernersville out there even more than it already is.
But I think what's even more impressive is, is the job Christina's doing. This is like, we're not talking about just slapping up, a picture on the wall. These are really professional artists. And to get quality art, that's an enhancement. So to my concern is that, this is a way that she's structured a program to finance and to get really this incredible quality of art, professional artists to do things that people will really enjoy and feel proud about. And at the same time, it wouldn't cost them anything.
Yeah.
And so, the town won't have to pay for it. Taxpayers don't have to pay for it. I mean, to me, it's like, wow, how could you not want to do this? I mean, and I know the town is supportive of the downtown. I mean, the chamber is actively
Yeah.
promoting the Saturdays in downtown. They talk to the shop owners and seeing what they can do to help. I know the town government is always looking to help the downtown. And they even built a visitor center. I mean, why do you build a visitor center in conjunction with Kerner's Folly if you're not interested in creating more, user-friendly visitors? And I don't care if you're coming to visit for an hour, an afternoon, or as a destination that you haven't been to in a while. That's another reason to come to the downtown.
Yeah, and we had Christina on as a podcast guest a few months ago when she was still putting together the idea for the Women Who Paint mural festival and all that, and she broke it down, and I'm no mural expert, but it certainly made a lot of sense to me. And there was some progress, during last month during the the Spring Folly, and anybody who hasn't been down to Mustard and Crutchfield and seen that piece on the side of that building definitely should check that out.
Well, there's three of them. There were three murals that were created during that Spring Folly event, and they're all great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all worth seeing. And again, I think it's an exciting opportunity for the town to take advantage of this and really not to prolong the make this more difficult than it should be.
Yeah. So let's get into just the roadblock you mentioned earlier. I mean, I know it's all about the sign ordinance, and I'm sure a lot of people have been following Christina on social media. She's talked about it a little bit. What can you tell us just from a 30,000-foot view the problem is, the core of the problem?
Yeah, I tell you what the core of the problem is. You can't put a round peg in a square hole. I mean, a mural is not a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have a sign ordinance in town, a strict sign ordinance in town, which the town should have. I mean, it's valuable, it's important. You want to keep, visibly, you don't want junk up there. You really need to have a quality sign ordinance that's enforceable. Totally understand that and get that. With one of the aspects of the sign ordinance is that you can't have like an off-site sign. Or, if you have a company name, if you put a company and you're not on that property, that's in violation of their sign ordinance. You need a permit. You need all kinds of other things apparently to be in conforming it. Or if you can even do it, they say no. And okay, I mean that's fine. But the problem is, Christina's getting sponsors, companies that want to provide the art, and all they're looking for, in the way that Christina set this up, is really just in very small, lettering, a very small block, is the name of the company that sponsored it. Mm-hmm. It's logical. It makes sense. That the fact that, it's a great, benefit to the company, and it's a great benefit to the town. You have a situation where, this is a cause marketing initiative. So a town, a company that says, I can take out an ad in the paper and promote my company, but I can do something good for the town. I can support an art project, and I can support this public art that's good for the community. And, and I guarantee you, if you look at some of the identifications and how they're listed, they're so small, it's insignificant. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, what she proposes is basically a commemorative plaque. A small commemorative plaque that could be standardized, that's dedicated strictly to public art mural. That's what, the town could do easily, not, changing anything with their ordinances. They could allow that. They could allow that relatively easily. There's other towns, in the state that are doing this. And again, I think everybody would see like, hey, this makes a lot of sense. Now, the town could say, well, you know what? We don't want that little plaque there. We're going to pay for the artwork, And some towns do. They have grants that they support the arts. They pay to have a sculpture put up. They pay to have a mural put up, But I think if the town could save $30,000, I think, the town government would like to save that money. And I hope, and I know the residents in this town certainly don't want to pay more than they have to in taxes. So this is a win-win for everybody. And I think those companies should get recognition. If they're spending this money, because again, it's not a commercial advertisement. This is a commensurate plaque saying sponsored by, and it's a mural that really it's not anything about their business. It's not a picture of their store.
Yeah.
It's art.
Yeah.
And so this could be an easy fix. You talk about a roadblock. My feeling is that you know you could do this or you could not do this. I mean, it's something new to the town. I think my surprise was that how little the town government and both the elected officials and the staff have thought about art and culture in this town. And there's really, if you look at, the Olden meeting that, where Christina went back to them about, the problem, there wasn't a lot on the agenda. You would think they would have time to really look at this from a more positive, point of view, and instead of being so negative. You can always find a reason to say no, for example. But this is a really legitimate, positive thing to do. So I don't know why they're not, embracing it more, willingly and really congratulating them for the great job they do. So, I just, we have a Winston-Salem, Forsyth County Arts Council, and it was and at that meeting, I was surprised to see that some people in our government didn't even realize that we have this in the county that actually, is, helps support Kernersville as well. So it's, and Christina's working through the Art Council. This is not, this is so, you couldn't pay somebody to do what she's doing for free. That's, I think, they should be thanking her. And I just don't understand, why they're criticizing her and looking to put these roadblocks up to prevent something that will be so beneficial to everybody in this community.
Yeah. So, I know the board has said that they're looking into this. They're going to be revisiting it, over the next couple of months at least. What would be? I don't want you to speak for Christina or the board of aldermen, but from your own perspective, what would be the preferred outcome? What would result in that win-win situation you talked about a moment ago?
Just as simple, just to approve a commensurate plaque. That's all that's required. If the town says we will allow these murals to have a commemorative plaque where the company, which the town could design and provide the plaque, and somebody's offered to pay for those plaques, so the town doesn't have to do it. So you're talking about a small, maybe I don't know what 2 feet by. I don't know what the dimensions were that Christine set up, but it was really small. So the town could design the plaque. They can sponsor it, so they're all consistent and uniform. And those plaques could only be put up with the murals that are in the town.
And you mentioned that there are other towns in North Carolina and across the country that have. I guess it would be in addition to the sign ordinance. It would be a separate ordinance to handle murals and these commemorative plaques.
I should have stated that, but you're absolutely correct, Chris.
Okay. Well, it is something that we'll be following. Obviously, and it's August, I believe.
They're going to make a decision. The town staff was tasked with looking at a way to make this work. And a 4-5 vote by the Board of Aldermen. So they see the value of having murals if they can make it work. And understanding that it won't violate the sign ordinance or put the town in a bad spot. So the question is now, the staff has the information. They've been given the information about the other towns that are doing it, even though it wasn't the responsibility of other people in the community to step up to do the town staff's work. But, here, talk to other city planners that are doing this. They're willing to talk to you. They're willing to show you how you can get these murals, have a separate ordinance that will allow you to still keep your strict sign ordinance, at the same time allow for a commemorative plaque. It's not that complicated. And the fact that they're making it complicated is such an unfortunate thing. And I think people need to speak up. I really do, because I would love to see our community get on social media, start to, say, hey, what's the problem with having murals up? And I'd like to see the town respond why they don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And I think that's what needs to be done at this point.
All right. You've obviously been following this a lot more closely than I have, so I really appreciate your time and breaking this down for us. Is there anything that I missed? Any other details that the public should know as this debate continues?
It's an open discussion. I think that with, from now to August 3rd, this is when we have to have a town discussion. This is when the people in our community, residents, businesses, the government response. People need to have a discussion on this. It's unfortunate that this is not even open to discussion, really. And something as important as bringing art to your town, that's not that's not insignificant. And the fact that here's a way to do it that's not going to cost anything. Again, I can't emphasize that enough. This is a win-win scenario, and again, the town's got to be more creative, and they've got to be more proactive, and they need to take advantage of things like this. And so it was stunning to me to see that they were just being so close-minded, or I don't know. I guess it's easier. It's always easier to say no. I mean, it takes a little bit of effort to write a separate little mural ordinance. Yeah, I agree. It's a little extra step, but the town has the ability to do it. They can copy other towns. They don't have to start from scratch. It's not that sophisticated.
Right.
You're not redoing your sign ordinance.
Yeah, we will see how it plays out, but I mean it's a debate worth having, clearly, and we're gonna do our part to help foster some of that conversation over the next couple of months.
Well, I appreciate Chris and you and Scoop News. This is awesome stuff. I'm glad to have you here in town, and I think people need to have more information about what's going on, with our government, how they're making decisions, and not just wait till it impacts them and it's too late.
Yeah.
So this is a time to be more active. This actually is a great time because this happens to be an election year. So I think this is a perfect time for people to ask their elected officials, detailed information, get their input and feelings, and see what, give them feedback. They do a great job, but they need to hear from the residents as well too.
All right, Bruce Frankel, thank you so much for taking the time and breaking this all down for us today.
Hey, my pleasure, Chris. Talk to you anytime.
All right.
Have a great day.
You too.
All right.